Hello!
And welcome to
The live stream
of
consciousness.
Hey!
We almost got it.
Fifth or sixth time's the charm.
What's happening, dude?
Charming. Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. How are you doing?
Other than just being a bit under the weather, I'm like my voice is a little bit like I was kind of sick last week. I was getting better, and then just like traveling 2 days to collect a certain group of individuals from New York. And hold on, maybe real quick.
A certain group of individuals from New York. I think I might know what you're referring to.
Wait, let's see.
Oh, we have a Parker, we have a Cassidy, we have a Logan made of brick.
Green screen shirt. And then, and then we got Grayson too.
And there he is, Grayson. What's up, dudes and dudettes?
So I've been having a lot of fun hanging out with my babies. We were just
That's cool. You got to go closer to your mic, Jess.
Oh, sorry. We were just doing a Mario Kart tournament. And
Cassidy was telling me.
Yeah, so far the oldest of us are still in here. So I got some other rounds to play when the show's over. Thank you guys for visiting.
Nice.
You can go now. I love you.
We got hey kids. We got hey guys.
I'll let you know if I need you again.
Yes, they did. They did it. Thank you, Cassidy.
All right. I've been up to my elbows in babies, and I just woke up again, like just a little sick, but I've been doing really good. I've been like spontaneously writing a ton of songs.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of really good things been coming out of me. I've been working on something anyway, and but really cool things have been coming out my face that I really like, and
things are coming out of your face. I like that.
Well, as I've said before, I've moved into a different type, level, whatever of songwriting where I just kind of hear the things there, and I just have to pull them out of myself sometimes. And sometimes I don't really have to pull them out of myself very hard. They just kind of like come right out, and I'm like, oh, let me capture that in a recording before I forget. So it's been amazing. I've been just like getting all this great stuff, really kind of moving things that have been connecting with me. But me being sick, and then Johnny Humongous, who's working on this record with me, he keeps getting sick. So we've both been just like kind of trashed by reality a little bit. But we're working on it still, and I'm getting through. How's your life been going over there in New York?
Things are good, other than the humidity and the weird weather it's been here. Things are very good. I actually, this week, I got the assignment to edit a bunch of videos, which happen to be live shows that we did over the pandemic. So I was doing some live shows of music performances over the pandemic at a studio. It was all like, COVID, protocols and all of this. And that's why we're doing the live streams. And now they're looking to market those shows. So I was editing each show as a promo. And it was just nice to be reminded of, oh, wow, look at all the things that we did over the last year. Like, it seems like the last year was like, a wash. But, I did a lot of things. And there was an ABBA tribute band. So it was like, I'm like listening to like, Take a Chance on Me, and it's like,
Take a chance on me.
Yeah. So it was cool. It was, I'm doing a lot of work. I'm working a lot, and I'm pretty happy about that. So life is pretty good. What about you?
That's awesome.
Other than the kids. And
I mean, life is really good. I'm coming in with some things that I want to chat about today. But first, shout out to Rock Against MS, the Rams Network, hosting us here on Twitch. Thank you to you guys. Thank you everybody who's on Twitch, and thank you everybody who donates to our charitable cause. We got
to start ramping up some campaigns for that.
Yeah, well, I know, and they're going to be pushing the show. So as new people come in, it's good to see you. Thank you everybody who's here commenting in the chat rooms. Hello to our regulars like Taylor and Andy.
Yes. The family of consciousness.
My phone is recording also live on Facebook at me, but you can't hear Michael. My buddy Seann Nicols is coming on in just a little bit. We got a bunch of people on over there on Facebook Live. So come join us on either YouTube Live or
I'm excited to talk to Seann.
Join us on YouTube Live or Twitch if my phone dies.
As Jesse is marketing the show to his phone.
I am. Well, it's everybody.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to get to this. I don't know. I might meander a little bit. Like I said, my good friend Seann Nicols is coming on the show. He's a brilliant songwriter, brilliant vocalist. He's worked with
Mhm.
tons and tons of different bands. Where he really had to fight his way. Audition his way. He's really a remarkable character for me in the industry of just sort of interesting things, because the positions that he has held, he had to go up against a lot of other people to take them, and
Interesting.
that's not usually the case with most. This is my band, and the band happens to whatever, and he's gotten himself into so many great positions because he's really damn good,
Yeah,
and
very
and he has
talented.
a really interesting journey. I don't know if he would necessarily call it a spiritual journey, but we're going to talk a little bit about that, and to lead into this conversation a little bit, maybe. I changed my name to the Son of Good.
I see that. What does that mean? Explain.
And there was this interesting
From the
guy.
juggernaut, no less.
Yeah, I talk about the Brian Scott, who has a great YouTube channel, a bunch. I've been trying to get him on the show, but baby, I can't be interrupted while I'm doing my show. I love you, but you gotta go to. Sorry, no, I'm sorry you're crying. You got to go to Logan. Okay. Sorry,
Aw.
resetting. Yeah.
Whoop.
But
New elements.
Brian Scott had posted something. I forget who it was by. It was just recent. I just took away this very major, sort of interpretation of the Son of God. And that that son is was meant to be sort of interpreted as sun, which is a projector. Basically, the metaphor that she was using was that she had always seen herself as sort of a antenna, like and viewed herself as a moon. That she called herself a moon, but she was really kind of saying she was she was a receiver, as opposed to a projection
Right,
device.
right. I got you. Yeah.
Right. So in somehow she was making this connection of being the sun, being something that was sending signals, and that when people were sending signals to you, that whatever those signals were, it didn't matter. You were just transmuting them back to good. And that was the high mark of an ascended being, that it was sort of like that almost like I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever I say bounces off you, it bounces off me and sticks to you, because
I
it
never
is a little
realized
bit
how
like that.
that's a very spiritual thing. I never realized how spiritual that is.
It really is, if you don't have like a me about it.
Right. And you just
So-
got to say it like this: I'm the rubber, and you're the glue.
Yes, and whatever you
That's
say
hysterical.
bounces off me and comes back to you as love.
Whatever
But
you
that's
say.
yeah, but it was basically the main point of it was viewing yourself not as something that was sort of being projected upon, but being something that was responding and projecting out from this place of love. And I feel like we tend to have so many levels of adversarialness within our relationships, whether that's with society, people, friends, and family. Like on all levels, we have different degrees of adversarialness. And which comes down to sort of a desire to get there first. You don't want to have your brother become a millionaire before you become to be. I'm doing that. He can't do that while I'm doing that. I'm the one doing that. And if you're in the business, it's like, I want to write the Hulk. That guy can't write the Hulk. I want to write the Hulk.
Right.
And so an adversarial nature, kind of comes about of like, if they're doing it, I can't do it. I can't do it. But you didn't know that they could make another Hulk comic, for you, under the right circumstances. It really, that's the thing, that unforeseen things can happen to level the playing field in ways that you can't imagine if you're willing to go with God, as they would say, go with the universe and let it unfold. And that, if say that happens and you react like that, you'd be putting yourself in this place of resistance where, she was talking about your solar plexus. flex your solar plexus, and that it would block up, the energy, and that when you're in a more receptive and loving place, the energy comes in and the energy goes out,
Right.
transmuted back to them as love. And
Right.
it just really hit me as sometimes when you're living really close with the people that you love, whether it's really close friends or whatever, just stupid arguments kind of come up because it's a full moon or
Right.
something,
Right. Right.
and
So you're feeling like you know learning how to process better.
well, exactly. So,
Yeah.
and it's like, and do you take this argument and engage into a full blown thing, because
So the
like
son of good, the son of good is a representation of making the energy to always
projecting love,
always reflect that. Right.
being a
Cool. I like it.
projection,
It's
being a
much more
projection of the
peaceful
love
and
of the universe.
yeah, it's much more
Yes.
peaceful and spiritual than the juggernaut, which,
Yes.
which I like also. But
Yes, but well, I mean, the juggernaut doesn't have to be evil.
no, it's the juggernaut. No, it's not. The juggernaut just means you're.
The juggernaut could be the roots of a tree,
The
man.
juggernaut's totally spiritual too. It's just it's more aggressively spiritual.
I mean, it's spiritual. Yes, it's some colorful language. I agree.
It's all good.
Anyway, but that was just teaching
So
me a lot.
I got to stop you for a second because
yeah, stop
we
me.
we did not wish Taylor a happy birthday.
Oh,
One of our most faithful listeners. She's
I haven't been reading.
telling us in the chat.
In
She's saying her birthday is on the 13th. She wants a happy birthday shout out. Of course, you're going to get a happy birthday shout out.
Happy birthday, Taylor.
Ooh, yeah. Awesome. Totally happy birthday to you. I just had to stop because the comments are going by and I usually am able to pay attention, but I was involved in the conversation. So
what up, Janet? What up, Ninja Kitty? How's
Angela loves your shirt. Tim's everybody's saying hello to everybody, so it's all good. We've got our community happening.
YouTube live. We love you.
So let's talk about our guests coming on. I did collect a couple of photos of the recent adventure you guys had together. So why don't you talk about that? Maybe.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that recently,
or maybe
we did a music video with Seann, me, and my girl Julie. Shout out to Julie Bright. She's always watching the show. Appreciate
Julie.
it. And my best buddy Aaron Sparrow.
Awesome.
So Aaron is a great source of spiritual guidance in my life. I like to call him Moses, because he's so
interesting.
Yeah, even though me and Aaron, like, largely granted, we talk about a lot of spiritual stuff, but comics, we're friends because of toys and comics.
Right.
But we were doing a show called Coolest Alive for a second, and Aaron and I needed a studio to go a little bit closer to where we work sometimes, and Seann was nearby, and we got in there, and Seann became friends with Aaron, and Seann became friends with Michael really quickly, and
he's a very cool dude.
And we put together a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of little plans to help him with his music video, which was a Western being shot in an amazing location in California, a little bit south. That's outside of San Diego. But basically, this guy had a whole bunch of different old-timey equipment, old-timey.
The production, the costumes and the production looked amazing from what I saw. I was just blown away.
The production is incredible because it's real buildings. Like there's 3 of them in a catty corner, and then like a big garage and a couple other ones, and then they have all these machines. They've got the only functioning rock crusher. And they were literally playing in front of the rock crusher. It was very cool.
Wow. Like old like mining equipment?
It's really a great song, and it's very cool. So and I was meditating and chilling out before I because we were done. We were wrapped for the day, and I come out and I'm watching these guys ripping it in front of the rock crusher, and they finish the song. And then the music's off, and you hear. Oh
man, that's such a great experience, man! It sounds so cool.
The rock crusher is in the background. It was very, very cool. So we had. I
spoke to him. I was hoping we had the video, but he said he'll talk about when it's coming out and stuff.
Yeah, hopefully,
sounds amazing.
Let us know when it's coming out, but you'll be able to spot me and my gal and Aaron in the video, kicking some butt and hanging out. It was a great group of people. We had a nice time, and yeah, Seann and I linked up on the phone in conversation afterwards, after he and Aaron hit it off, and I just wanted to say thank you. I called him, and we ended up on the phone for like an hour talking about kind of spiritual stuff and things that we had gone
Cool.
through and our relationships and whatnot, and that he ended up doing ayahuasca, and that
Oh.
it was really changed him, reconfigured him, reinvigorated him, and he's been kind of feeling great ever since, and
Sweet.
opened him up to a lot of things at the time, and changed a lot of the way he was thinking about how he was approaching music and stuff, and very similar to how I approach it these days, is
Quite a few of our guests as well.
So we just thought that he was a wonderful person to have
That's
on.
great.
He has a lot of
Absolutely.
interest in some of the things that we like to talk about, and largely what we like to talk about is the journey from doubting that much is possible to believing that there's a lot more going on, and that we should be a little bit more open. And I don't care who has a story like that to tell. Those are the stories that I really want to have here on that show, so that we can help people identify with their unique story and what they're going through, so they don't have to feel so crazy like we did growing up, Michael.
That was, you just totally freaking focused in, man, right there. I love it. Thank you. That was great.
Even though I'm sick and I'm feeling a little bit like
that was good. You kicked ass. You set your intentions and your expectations of yourself like and you just nailed it, man. That's
Thank
awesome.
You. So please,
bring them on.
Do you want to follow up my introduction, or do you want to bring him on?
I met him through that experience too, and even our viewers, have seen the studio where he's going to be broadcasting from, because you guys were broadcasting from there. Oh no, that wasn't our show. That was the other show, wasn't it? Yeah, that was not our viewers, but some of the viewers from here were watching the other show. But anyway, regardless, we started talking about numerology and stuff, and he was really had a lot of information. So that was why I was like, oh, that would be a great episode to do all about him and let him tell his story about how he got into it. So that's really what I wanted to say. I'll also let him talk about the video, because I really want to bring up those pictures. They're so cool. So let's bring him on. Seann Nicols, welcome.
What's happening, guys?
Hey, Seann, how's it going, man? Nice to see you.
Awesome, man. You too. Dude, thanks for all the kind words. Seriously, it's amazing.
Oh, you're welcome. We had such a great time working on the video.
It was rad, right? I mean,
what a cool place to hang out. And, anytime my parents tend to be kind of too cool. And anytime where I'm somewhere where I'm like, oh, they'd be jealous. That's a cool place. And I started taking pictures because there were some old school motorcycles. There was I think there was a Von Dutch, and then there was an even older motorcycle that I was like, you know anything about the such and such motorcycle? And my dad's like, the first motorcycle ever built. I'm like, yeah, I got one of those too. He was like, you mean that was a real one? And I was like, it's just sitting up there on a balcony. I don't even remember what it was called. But
yeah, he's a major collector of that old stuff. It's so cool to see it all there, and it all works, which is even more miraculous. It's like it would be cool just to have it. Even if it was rusty and it didn't work, I'd be like so proud. And then he's like, "Oh, let me turn it on for you."
Everything there was
totally
so
freaking cool, man. Yeah,
the
it looked
backgrounds,
amazing.
And you guys did a great job. Your wife.
So Seann, but before we talk numerology and spirituality and all that stuff, why don't you tell us? I really want to just hear a little bit about this video, and I want to show the pictures. Is there a website or something that people can see you at? I can type it out and put it up on the screen here.
All right, cool. Let's get the plugs out of the way right up front.
Let's do it.
So my band's called Delete After Death.
Delete After Death. I love it.
Yeah, and it's a play off this feature on Facebook. So, it's like you can set up like when you die, what do you want to happen to your profile? Because we're constantly putting pictures and videos.
Dead people's profiles.
Yeah, it's like it's all up there, and you got your whole history, and then all of a sudden one day, eventually we all die. And then what happens to all that stuff you put up there? So you have an option to delete after death, which I don't know. It's kind of eerie and spooky and weird. And so I thought that would be a cool.
It's one of those things you're like, that would be a cool band name.
That's how it happened. Exactly. I needed a band name right at that moment. And so we decided to run with it. And so that's the name. That's the website is deleteafterdeathmusic.com.
Let me put that in here so people can Delete After Death Music, all one word. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you want to say about this video? I'm going to bring up a couple of photos. about the music, about the song?
So, I mean, I could literally take up the whole segment talking about the video. It was a crazy production. Like, we had done a video earlier. It's free money. You can see that at deleteafterdeathmusic.com. Oh, look, there you go. We were, so this photo, I'll just tell you what we were doing. We were working out the wardrobe. Like, what is everyone going to wear? And so this is like my urban cowboy sci-fi look that we kind of developed. And my wife, she did all the wardrobing. So it was like, she made that vest for me. And then we got this cool, trench coat, kind of matrixy, cowboyish thing. And she was just designing all these, like, for I think 14 people. So yeah, there's some of her work there, and everyone looking very cool.
Julie in the middle.
Yeah, Hannah and Jamie. There's Aaron and Jesse.
I love this picture. This one is great.
Jesse was just instantly in character. The minute he got the outfit on, just boom, it was like Back to the Future or something. He was.
This was the role he was made for, Jesse Blaze.
It was amazing. Like, we wanted to make it as authentic as possible. We had the location, but we just needed to bring life to it, and everyone needed to have, their look. And,
hold on, there's one more, I think.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, and so that's Ron right there doing the video work, and actually Ron's in the studio with me today. We took a little break so I could come on the show and talk to you guys.
Ron, Julie thinks that me and Sean should start a heavy metal boy band. We just need 2 more.
I got to agree.
We just need 2 more. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I was just watching.
Let's just do a single.
I was watching a documentary on Boys to Men. It's an amazing story of how the boy band thing kind of culminated, the barbershop thing, singing together, and
can we can do like a play on I'll Make Love to You, but like make it really raunchy or something.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I'll make love to you.
So wait a second. So this is kind of funny. I've had this list and I literally rewrote it onto the back of this pad because I find this list. Sometimes you write lists when you're a creative person. And then you look at the list and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking when I wrote this list? What does this list mean?
What is this list of?
This is in code or something. But you just said band names, and I'm thinking maybe that's what this was a list of. Because as band names, it could be really good. So this is the list.
All right, Jake.
Pregnant Pause. Bearded,
okay, all right.
Bearded Land. Phantom Limb.
Phantom Limb.
Good Grief.
Good grief. Yeah.
Revenge Pays.
Oh, wow.
Tattoo You. And Triple Dog Dare.
I gotta say, it sounds like band names, man. It definitely does.
Yeah.
Could very well be band
Triple Dog Dare sounds like a 3 Dog Night cover band.
I don't know.
Sex positions, maybe sex positions.
This was like a late night. I've got 7 screenplays, and I'm gonna write them, but I don't remember. I'm gonna remember them because I've written down these names. I no recollection. What
Good
the hell
grief.
that list?
I don't know what that list means.
I found that list, and I'm like, this is an interesting collection of phrases, or like
an interesting collection of phrases. All right, so this show has totally gone off track. I know
All
it's
right,
my fault.
we got to do our
I brought all those
thing.
pictures around, and
Okay.
whatever. So I know actually we do have a lot of viewers who I saw them responding that they were very excited to talk because I was booking the show as the numerology episode. So when we started talking, Sean, you started talking about numbers somehow. I forget what it was. It was maybe we were referencing the time or something, but you started talking about the significance of that, and we got into a little bit of a conversation. So why don't you tell our viewers what your connection to numbers is, how you got involved, and what they mean to you? And hold on, Jesse wants to say something first.
Yeah.
Oh no. And as you heard the introduction, like in general of a thing, so in whatever way it might connect to your journey, and take your time, as we always say. We want to hear this in whatever detail your journey to especially numbers. It interests me because I've had so much experience with synchronicity and stuff like that has really kind of freaked me out at various times, and I'd love to know how you how that became a focus, for you.
Right.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I've had this conversation many times in my life, and I kind of somehow weave into this especially with new people, because I'm trying to get to know someone, and We're trying to, understand more about one another. And so something I like to say is that I've had a bit of a spiritual journey. I had to overcome some stuff in my life. Just growing up, you're faced with challenges, adversities. You don't know how to handle things. And for the first, I'd say 22 years of my life, I was trying to control things outside of me. Right. So trying to control circumstances, trying to control what's coming at me, trying to make my way in the world. Like Jesse was talking about, trying to climb up a ladder or, like figure out a way to beat somebody to the finish line or, how am I going to get up this big mountain? I need to make my family and my friends proud of me. So I need to accomplish something great. How am I going to do that? Right. And to say the least, it was a fleeting experience because no matter what I did, there was always something coming at me that I couldn't control. And I was always put in a position of weakness, and I had to rethink everything. And it just, at some point, something clicked and I said, you know what, maybe it's not a journey out there. Maybe it's a journey in here. Maybe if I find the power and the strength in myself, then I will have the things will just happen to me the way that they need to. And I don't have to control what's out there. Totally. I can control what's in here and resonate at that frequency. And then I'll just start bringing the right things to me to get to the places that I want to go. And I don't need to be in competition with people. I don't need to be in constant adversity with the world around me. I can just be.
So I have a question. What you're saying? Yeah. Did you realize that before you actuated that? So you said, if I do this, then this will happen. Because I feel like a lot of people start to do that, and then they're like, oh, look at the things that are happening. Everything's happening for me because I'm operating this way. But you almost kind of said, oh, if I operate that way.
Yeah, it was an if because I was just trying to put all these physical details into place to try to create my success.
Right.
And it just, I felt like I was in quicksand. I couldn't move. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to live my life. And I was still only in my early 20s. And I quickly realized this is the hard way, trying to compete on the level of physicality and the level of the external world. I just felt like there was more power to go inward, if that makes sense.
Totally. That's what we talk about all the time. Of course, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that was the beginning. And then it just kind of started evolving. And then I started paying attention. I'm like, oh, I have these thought patterns. And if I could correct some of these distortions in my thoughts, then I could kind of iron out some of these distortions in my experience, like things happening to me, just, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's like, why does that happen? So I'm maybe it starts here.
It's a great example. Yeah.
Can I pause you? Can I pause you right there? Because usually our first question is, what is consciousness to you? And you just described a completely independent journey to personal consciousness where you went, you know what? Maybe if I just became conscious of what was going on inside of me, that I could do something about this. And how wonderful, that is. Once again, I keep saying, I don't think we'll get a better description of it than that, or whatever, but I mean, this is an even more visceral kind of physical description.
That's the guests we have on. Everybody has their own, like you were saying, Jesse, everybody's got their own story, and they're really all the same, but it's like you hear it and you're like, oh, that's an interesting way to get there,
Well, and if we can pause for one more second, I'll just say, I really do believe that there's not one of us who's here to have the same experience as another. So when you're looking to validate your precise experience from other people, it just never really happens. The best thing that you can really hope to do is kind of get a larger group of experiences to see a range and understand, look at all the different ways that you can realize that you're part of a little bit of a different whole. And I'm not crazy for independently experiencing things that other people aren't experiencing, because I really do believe that that's a big part of the journey, is learning to trust yourself enough to go, I'm cognizant and reasonable and rational, and I know a thing or two, and when such and such happens, I can trust that it has. And because we all have to learn to trust ourselves. We are all a piece of divinity, a piece of something that can inherently come out of its mother's belly, and swim, under the right circumstances. They have, it's been postulated by many spiritualists that it's our fear that people might drown, that the baby loses, they get scared because they sense our fear. And, you see animals in the wild, they can just get up and they can walk. So, dispelling these things and making us feel like we can trust ourselves, I think is such a huge part of us really beginning to develop better as people. Because so many of us, I think we fall apart as we start to feel like we're really disappointing everybody around us, and we're really letting ourselves down with these standards we've set for ourselves. And and you just, it becomes a quagmire. But once you become conscious and you go, wait a second, I can do this. And there are things in my life going right. And they were these things. They were the times when I wasn't so freaked out and when I was just letting it happen. And, and I love to hear stories like this. So I just wanted to
that's awesome. No, you're inspiring me to more ideas. So I'll just jump right in. I'm going to fast forward through like maybe 15 years or so by just saying that once I kind of became aware that everything was emanating from me and things weren't happening to me, that's when I started chiseling away at, things that maybe I had taken on, because I believe we're born pretty level, and then as we go through these experiences, we get conditioned to accept limiting beliefs and ideas that don't serve us and that bring more trouble and chaos into our world than we need. Right. And we have to figure out where we accepted those ideas as truths and try to rewire ourselves, dispel those myths, and, remove ourselves from the dogma so that we can empower ourselves and, have the life that we really want and deserve, But Absolutely. I believe that we all get what we deserve. Like,
Absolutely.
There's a little interesting thing to say about that. When I was younger, I used to think my mother was a naysayer, and there's people that I've come across in my life that I thought were naysayers. And I realize now they're actually usually very high level spiritual people, because what was happening was I would say, it's like this, and I would draw a line in the sand, and they'd be like, no.
Well, what about
flip the polarity, and they'd be like, it's like this. This is equally true. And
equally true
with everything. When it comes to that rewiring of your circuits, it's about, as a child, you kind of lock in on sort of polarities of like, oh, this is scary to me, I don't like this situation. And then we get pretty good at avoiding certain things, avoiding situations. And then when versions of that situation come up, we're like, oh no, fire, we hate this. And it is about rewiring that thing, which so often is about
that's what's going
telling
on right
us
now.
a new story. And telling yourself a new story about the thing that lifts you up, because it is just as true to tell yourself this positive way of looking at a thing as it often is to be, you could look at it in that way that was really diminishing to you. Yeah, sure.
I think that's exactly what you're saying.
In a way that's great.
So that's where I'm going to cut right in. And that's where I got to the power of language.
Okay.
Right? And that's really what it came, because at first it was just kind of like, oh, it's this internal. Well, what is this internal thing? What does it mean to go into yourself? Like what's in there? Right? What is this soul? Like, what is this life force?
Tell us.
Right. So what I've figured out, and through, it's not my own ideas, but just through searching and being open-minded and learning, is that really our reality is formed through the language. It's the language that we, use to understand the world and that we use to communicate the world. And so through language, we can transform ourselves, and we can inspire others and rally people to bring about the realities that we evoke with our language.
Wow, you just rewired my head right there, actually. With the whole, I just made the connection of language and energy, because I believe that everything that we do, every experience that we have with another person is an energy exchange, but language is part of that exchange, and it's just as equal, like Jesse was saying, it's just as equal as, it's just as equally true that language is a form of energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just made that realization.
And then when you infuse the language with emotion, then it's like it gives it power,
right.
You know, and this is why I love music, because then you infuse the language with a melody and an emotion, and all together it just really gets out there. Now you can start, you know, creating in a very powerful way. And that's really what it was in my early 20s. Is I realized, I'm like, wow, like, I wonder what would happen if I started like infusing messages that I wanted in my life into my songs and into my music, you know? And it was like empowering. And I wrote music that would just make me feel alive. And my whole life started changing. So this led me down this road. And then I kind of came and like, then you hit roadblocks. You're like, oh shit, I'm in my own way. And it's not easy to take responsibility for that. Right. Because I don't know. Like, so I came in contact with this concept of accountability, right? Of being accountable for what's happening. Like,
these are all of my favorite topics, by the way.
Yeah, that is happening to you. It's happening through you.
Right.
You know, it's not happening to you. It's happening through. And so, so this fascination with language, it made me more of like an observer. So now I'm observing my thoughts. I'm like, wait, do I want to say that? You know, I would start to like come in contact with people. I'd be like, whoa, this person doesn't realize like how they're speaking. And it would hit me and I'd be like, whoa, I don't know about that energy. And then I'd go, oh, I really like the way this person's speaking, you know, and then I would, you know, and my life started changing because I was attracted
to that. You were more aware.
Yeah, I was following
more
the
accountable
energy.
For it. Yeah.
I became like an active observer, if you will, right? And then, you know, and we're all creating all the time, right? So as I'm observing, I'm learning to create more and more. But then I come across this other layer that just blew my mind, which is that numbers is a language. Like language isn't just this linguistical thing of whatever language you speak, you know, whether it's English or Italian or Spanish or whatever, you know, Japanese, like whatever you speak, those are all phonetical languages, right? But then numbers are like the universal language. Right?
So when you see numbers, you actually see a language. You can see certain combinations of numbers that will have a message associated with it, or
in a way. So then it becomes an issue. And this is, and mind you, I'm totally in skeptical mode. I'm skeptical of every idea. I don't just accept an idea because that's the way I want it to be. You know, like I'm very skeptical before I allow something into my operational system, you know? So it kind of came together with this concept of the name. Right. Because now we're talking about language and we're talking about words. And it's like, well, what is the most important word in anybody's life? You have to think about it, boil it all down. It comes down to your name. That's who you are. You know, you could say, I am, and fill in the blank, these positive affirmations. This is the power of language into your mind, through your emotion. And then it becomes like, I am powerful. I am intense. I am loving. I am gentle, kind, mean, you know, whatever I am. And you become that, right?
Right.
So who are you? You are Michael. You are Jesse. And I am Seann. Right. So what does that mean? So
Jesse means sun god.
You see?
I was going to say he's the son of good. Actually, he's
technically sun god is what Jesse means though. But son of good seemed that much more appropriate. So.
Yes.
And so I start getting into this. So where do the names come from and how do they develop their meanings? Because a name is just like an identifier, right? We just accept that a name doesn't mean anything. It's just a way to identify a person. But what if it actually had an effect on the person? Right. And so I had thought about changing my name a lot in my life. And the name that I was given when I was born never really resonated with me in like some weird way. With none of this knowledge, I just felt like it diminished me. I was like, me, it's me, you know? And I was like, wouldn't it be great if when I said my name, like I felt proud, like I am. Wouldn't that be great? And so when I was in my early 30s, I said I would like to change my name, but then I realized that there was something to it that I didn't understand, and this is when I found numerology.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I'd known about numerology, but I was very skeptical about it. You know, like people doing the address, like, oh, what address is this? Oh, I don't go there. That's bad energy. Or I'm not going to do this because of some number. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. You know, like you can't live your life like that. Like, how do you know what a number means? It seemed like a real not a pseudoscience, but just like a superstitious kind of
right
nonsense, you know? And that's what it was to me for a long time. But in looking at this name thing, I wanted to explore it a little bit deeper. And so I found that through various origins of numerology, that they could actually use numbers to decode names. And this is where it got interesting to me, because I'm like, okay, so how does this work? And so researching Indian numerology and Western numerology and Zoroastrianism numerology, and there's all these different thoughts of numerology and how to assess the numbers and what do they mean. And through all of this research, I kind of condensed it all, and I found the thread that tied them all together, and that they all used the cycle of life, the beginning from birth to death, to define the qualities of the numbers. So 1 would be the beginning. This would be like the seed, right? And then 2 would be the germination, right? The you know, like the sperm and the egg, for instance. You know, I know that there's like plants that, you know, they
asexual, right.
Asexual or whatever, but the concept is still here. And then the third, the 3 would be the dance. This is like the creative, like where all the cells start multiplying, right? And then 4 would be the testing phase, where now in a plant's life, let's just use a plant as an example, that once the it's, you know, germinated, and now it's pushed up past the surface, and now it's exposed to the elements, and it's got weather to deal with, and it's got the elements, and it's like, can it survive? Right. But if it does survive, then it enters this great period of growth, which is the 5. And then it eventually will bear fruit. It will bud. That's right. And then it will flower, and then you'll have the harvest, and then everything will fall off. And so that you'll have, you know, whatever didn't get picked falls back down, and it's a refertilization, and the process starts over again. And this is kind of like our lives. Like, you know, you're conceived, and then you're born, and then you struggle, and then you find yourself, and you have this great big period of growth. And then you bud, and you flower, and you bloom, and it's the big harvest of whatever your life's work is. And then most people, you know, that they have this realization that they want to give back to other people. And there's this element of humanitarianism and philanthropy that we go through in our later stages of development. And at some point you fall back down, everything returns back to the earth, your body returns back to the earth, you refertilize the soil for the next life cycle to happen. And so taking this lifestyle, and I'm being very abstract and very just quick and dirty with it, but if you take the life cycle and you split it into 9 equal parts, then this is how you can develop a quality and attribute a quality to a particular number. Okay. So with that that's the scale, that's the quality, not just the quantity of the number. So then when you apply that concept to a name, you want to take the vowels of the name, and that's going to be the soul of the name. All right. So,
okay.
So if you take any name or any word for that fact, and you take out the vowels, it's like this crazy thing. It literally sucks the soul. It sucks the life right out of the name. So let's try to say Michael without any vowels.
Michael.
Jesse.
Michael.
Just, I mean, it's literally, it's like,
right.
Like Sean, let's say Sean. It's like there's nothing there. So the vowels are the soul of the name in this philosophy, right? And so we would take the fixed position of the letter in the alphabet. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and so on and so forth. And this, we can do this because it's always the same. A is always the first letter. B is always the second letter. You know, there's a constant sequence, and we all adhere to this system.
Right.
And it's this system that establishes our method of communication, if you will. So by using this, you can mathematically look at all these names and put them into categories and say, okay, so Michael, you have an A and an E. So A is a 1 and A, B, C, D, E, 5. So 1 and 5 is 6. So your soul, well, the 9, the I is a vowel too. But this is a curious thing about the numbers, is that the qualities that we assess to these numbers, they actually play out in practical reality. So the 9 is the number of philanthropy or giving back. And the 9 actually gives you back any number that you feed into it. So if we take 9 plus 6, we get 15. And then you add together the 1 and the 5 and you get 6 back.
Right.
And you could do that with any number. 9 plus 7,
right.
1 plus 6 is 7. 9 plus 8, 1, and so on and so forth, right? 1 plus 7 is 8. And so 9 gives you back whatever you put into it. So if you look at it on like a pyramid scale, 1 being the narrowest point, I get centered with my camera here, and 9 being the widest point.
Right.
1 is the narrow, that's the tip of the arrow. It's the pioneer. 1, let's charge, right? And then 9 is giving back. So Michael Zinn, you have I would say your first name is a 6 soul. And you can see I have the Seann here. It's a 6 soul, right? And so we can take the numbers. Jesse would be E and E. 5 and 5 is 10, and 1 plus 0 is 1. So you would have a 1 soul. So you'd be more of a pioneer. You follow what I'm saying? As to where the 6 has the factors of the 2 and the 3. And when we deal in primes, 1, 3, 5, 7, we get these very distinct qualities. When you start entering into multiples, like so, when you multiply 2 and 3, you get this combination of 2 very different stages in the cycle of life that balance each other. So the 6 we would consider to be a balanced number because it has these 2 factors of the 2 and the 3. And they balance each other because there are 2 different stages of life that have this kind of balancing effect. And this is just the soul that we're talking about. So the soul is what you want deep inside. It's what you want for your life, right? And then the consonants are the filter that your soul must go through to manifest itself in the world, right? So in my particular case, I have S, N, and N. So N is a 5, and the other N is a 5. And just in case you're wondering, I wish I had like a diagram to put up on the thing, but if you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I is 9, okay? And then you start over again, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, right? And then R would be 9. And then S would be 1, T would be 2. So you just keep counting the number of the alphabet to 9, and then you start over, and then you start over. And that's how
you're not adding, like once you get to after I, it's 10, and it's the 1 and the 0, and then 11, the 1 and the 1, which would
right.
be 2.
And there are numerological methodologies that do incorporate double digits and things like that, but they tend to use them more as amplifiers, right? So they would use the 0 as either a placeholder or an amplifier, but 0 wouldn't be considered a number per se because it doesn't represent anything. It represents nothing actually. 0 is
not
nothing.
A part of the cycle of life.
Yeah, but if you put a 0 after a 1, then it just amplifies the 1 into a 10.
So I'm an amplified pioneer?
You could be. You can amplify yourself.
Ooh.
So look, without
I
going
love
into,
numerology.
without going into too much detail with all, because there's a lot of nuance to this stuff, but essentially what I've found is that the name, I'm going to make a metaphor here. It's kind of like your name is like a crystal. It has a frequency and it resides in your mind. So if you believe in the power of your mind and you believe in your mind's ability to manifest what it thinks about all the time, that thoughts become things, then you start to see the significance that the name can play in a person's life, because
we subscribe to those things for sure.
The name becomes
I
like
want to
your
back
frequency.
that up. I want to back that up by just saying that, so many of these things, I've often come to this conclusion, because I, like you, I'm a skeptic. Granted, I was kind of on to aspects of the language, game before I ever got onto the spiritual path. But then when I got onto the spiritual path, I really started to understand, just like you say, how much resonance there is. When I think I have lived as long as a voiceover actor, in the business because of what I do when I do my voiceover. When I say,
yeah, you've spoken about this.
I'm going to say it again, but want more taste? Get America's favorite pizza, Pizza Hut, now online. Built into that, I have put that I just want the best for every family that buys one of our pizzas, and I mean that. I have no strings attached. I really hope
so much so that you're saying it's one of your pizzas.
well, this is the thing. It's like my voice is representing it, and that was sort of the journey that I made at the time, where I kind of got myself to that place. But because I was like, I don't really like that I'm in this commercial industry and I'm selling people pizza, and I'm like, well, and I started trying to think good things. I was like, well, it's like inexpensive pizza, and it's like, and whatever the case is, I hope that it can be the best, highest service that it could possibly be. And I saw immediately, once I felt that, and once I was thinking that when I said it, it changed how it sounded. And that was the beginning of me doing it all the time. And it's something, when I'm reading in the booth, I'm reading stuff, if you just read the script, a lot of times people will write the script without qualifying words that'll kind of get you into the feeling. So often you'll hear me say a bunch of shit that's not in the script because I'm just trying to get myself to the feeling. I'm like, oh, and doesn't that stink that no, and isn't it so great that because it doesn't say that, but I'm supposed to come in and it's supposed to sound like it's so great. It's supposed to sound like it stinks, but it's not there in the writing, and you have to put all that information into it. So I mean, it's really everything that you're saying is on the ball, and at the very least, if you even think about it from a completely kind of atheist perspective, like there's no God or whatever, but recognizing this sort of like, hey, we're living in a hologram. Hey, there's obviously, energy, energy fields that are governing a lot of these things. There's new science that is showing us the world is a lot more interconnected than it ever was. Recognize that this is just a little system for you to guide yourself. And as you can connect to the consciousness that has already been put into this system that is very ancient, very simple. As you hear, Seann explain that just the growth process, we're literally just talking about a harvest, and look at that. Look at all the very simple universal stages of that. Look at, as Seann says again, the universal language that is right there. And if you can open yourself up to the threads of knowledge that are there, even if it's, let's say it's not true, you're getting yourself onto a path of organizing your consciousness in a way that it's been organized before, and there obviously is a lot of energy on that path already, and many people have had a lot of success with numerology, and and while I'm not as knowledgeable as as Seann is, and I know Michael isn't as well, we both enjoy that stuff as well and engage in conversations about numerology because we see it. As soon as you open yourself up to the idea that this stuff might be true, you're probably going to start seeing numbers. That tends to be what happens.
And I think like that reminds me of that movie with Jim Carrey, 23, and he sees the number 23 everywhere, and it like fucks his whole life up, right? But and like it's I don't think that's a healthy thing. You don't want to take this stuff and like get so consumed with it that it destroys you. But like what you said really resonated with me about this system of understanding something that is far greater than any of us will ever be able to fully comprehend, right? And even Albert Einstein said that his theory of relativity, that it was a good model, but that very likely it wasn't the whole picture. It was just a way for him to understand cause and effect, and it seemed to work. So, hey, it's a pretty good working model. It seems to get us pretty reliable results. And so we'll trust it until something more refined comes along that is more accurate.
It wasn't taught to us like that in school.
Right. Yeah. It's like, this is the way it is, and this is how it all works. And
I was also going to say the other classic example for everybody at home of the resonance of speaking was the Nixon and JFK debate. It was classically said, that all the newspapers or all the people who were there, like writing about it or whatever, or sorry, all the people who heard it on the radio thought that Nixon had clearly won because they were just digesting the information and feeling JFK, people who saw it on TV, who saw the way he was saying things, it went to him. Because the way we communicate is different, and I mean that gets onto a thing of how we pantomime as well as how much energy we put into the stuff. But there's a lot of how we speak, and I'm so glad, Seann, you coming on the show to speak about that, because I think it is the most important issue that we have to date. My girl Julie loves to say that I think that we all agree with each other more than we know, and it's just the language that gets in the way. And I agree with that 100%. The language is such a major thing, and if we could, all be a little bit more elegant in the way we approach conversation and communication, it would help the whole world, I think.
Yeah, and I want to add one more thing, because this is just such a vast topic. I didn't come prepared with a script.
Yeah, you didn't even come close to talking about a lot of it. But before you
did great, Seann. This was a great conversation.
I gotta say, hold on to your thought, because I want to hear what you have to say. But everything you said, even though you didn't really even get into numbers that much, is so relevant to everything that we talk about. And even when you started talking about names, I'm very specific. I mean, I don't tell people, oh, you must call me Michael. But when they ask me what I prefer Michael. And there is such a different energy to how I receive it and how I put it off and I say it. And when someone calls me that, then when someone says Mike, there's it's just a different energy. And I feel like it's so relevant what you were saying, and I'm curious even to know more about how it ties into numbers, because that was the conversation we had about your name.
I'm leaving here and I'm doing every one of my children.
It's a fascinating thing. I do want to say one thing though, because when you get into this numerology thing and trying to understand people, especially by their names, there's this bridge that you cross where you're like, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And I just want to say that what I found is that good and bad, there is no good and bad. Okay. This is just, it's cause and effect, and everybody's name, every person that has a name, that name is going to bring in an experience, and it's whether they appreciate the experience that they're having or not. There's no name that's going to make you be more successful than another name. There's no magic name, that you're going to give yourself and it's going to solve all your problems. But what the name does is it kind of dictates a certain degree, to a certain degree.
It's a vibration. It's like a vibration.
The types of people that are going to naturally gravitate to you, the types of experiences that you're going to, find yourself having again and again. And so, a name is a very personal experience that we have. And I think it's really interesting that our parents, most people's parents, they just give them a name. We name people after someone that we went to school with, or I'm gonna name my child after my father, or name him after my grandfather or great grandfather. I'll just call him Seann Jr. Or where do we where do we get this from? So ultimately, changing my name, the main reason I did it was because, hey, this is my life. I know myself better than my parents knew me before I was born. It was just
a feeling you had. Yeah, it was. You just had this feeling.
And I just knew that, I'm like, hey, I want to change my name, and I use this numerological system to balance my name. And I got to say, it's been 10 years and I'm having a great experience. I love it. I noticed when I changed my name, a lot of people that were in my life that I would call maybe toxic people just found their way out. They just magically just kind of dispersed, and I don't hear from those people.
I feel like that was your intention of changing your name.
I swear to God, like I didn't do it.
Put it out there
differently. I swear, like I just told them, I'm like, hey, I changed my name, and this is my new name, and they're like,
right,
and then it disappeared. And some people stuck around, and those are like some of my best, closest, people in my life. And then all those people that went away, they've all been replaced by new people that have much better energy, I think. I mean, when I look at my life today as a snapshot and compare it to what it was 10 or 20 years ago, it's just night and day. And I don't have any like empirical proof to say it absolutely was the name. But I mean, I lived with my first name.
It was also awareness and accountability, those things as well, that you're saying kind of were big parts of your realization. You know what I mean? It's like
something clicked. I mean, something clicked.
You start to realize that stuff. I think somebody I saw something today, I forget what it was, a friend of mine, but it was something very similar to what we're talking about. Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
Is 7 bearing fruit? Is the 7?
No, so the 7, the way that we understand the 7 is the flower. So
the flowering stage.
Yeah, the flowering stage. And it's kind of interesting because if you study famous actors, like a lot of celebrities have a 7 in their name. For some weird reason, it's like this actor's number. And like a lot of people with 7 names are drawn to theater and performing, and
the first letter of their name is supposed to be significant. 2 of my children are 7s, 2 of them are 3s.
Well, those are great. See, once again, they're all great numbers. So every number has like, it's like the yin and the yang, right? They've got
which is the death number, Sean.
They got their like, it's crazy, man. But once you get into this stuff,
what? Actually, I was going to say that when you first started talking, I was going to say, so there really isn't any, like, none of these numbers, even the 9 being the death, isn't a bad thing. It's and that this is a very spiritual thing. It's a part of the whole cycle, right? The cycle. Well,
absolutely. You need all of it to make the whole thing work.
Right. You know what's kind of funny? My name was supposed to be Angel. That begins with an A, a 1.
Right. And so the first letter of your name,
I think not.
So check this out. I'll explain this real quick, because basically when you're first born, then the first letter of your name will dictate the number of years that you will experience that energy. And then it will rotate through the letters of your name. So that means that in the first year of life, if your name is Angel, you would be experiencing the 1. And then after that, you'd go into the N, which is a 5. And for 5 years, you will experience the 5. You understand? And then it will rotate through the name. So this is an interesting point, because
it rotates through your name.
It rotates through the letters. The years that you live rotates through the letters of your name. So when I changed my name, it was very strange, because I had rotated through every letter of my previous name exactly 2 times.
Can I get rid of the second 5? Can I just change my name to Jess?
You can, but I would advise
maybe I just change the E to another S, make it 999.
So here's the deal.
Completion.
And this sounds crazy, but I mean, if you subscribe to the power of language and you subscribe to like all these things, then you would have to accept that if you change your name, you will change your life. So before you make a name change, you want to think about what that change means and how it might affect you moving forward. And this could also explain why when people get married, that, their relationship changes, because the woman traditionally takes the man's last name, which essentially changes her,
who she is.
I mean,
that's very interesting.
Well, we have Gina saying that she's enlightened, so I'm imagining she's been enlightened from the show, unless she's just coming in and to tell us that she's enlightened.
I don't think she means it like that. Our audience is a bunch of dicks.
I'm
enlightened.
No.
Screw you guys.
Of course,
I'm
Gina,
going home.
I understand that Gina totally appreciates it, and that's great. That's why.
No, I mean this is mind-boggling stuff. It definitely it can be confronting at times, you know, to think like, how could a name like matter so much? But I mean,
right. Well, it ties right into astrology. I mean,
yeah, that's funny.
I mean,
and my sister, who we're going to be having on in a few weeks, you know, she had come across essentially the message was that she was sort of destined to be a bit like my mom, like be the matriarch of a family. And she said, I don't really want that. And I was like, oh, so what are you going to do? She's like, well, honestly, I know enough about astrology to know that you really don't want to be fighting against the energy path that you came in on.
Right.
And she's like, and I understand that I would be good at that. I don't know if that's necessarily what I want. But she's like, but it seems like that's kind of what I'm supposed to do. And if I don't do that, I'm going to be going straight up against my energetic karma that I'm in.
Yeah, that's a really important point, Jesse. I want to just throw one thing in there is that I didn't even talk about this and I should have, but the way to really assess whether your name is good for you is to look at your birth date, because that is when you're born into the system of language that we use in the Western world, at least, to dictate, you know, your purpose in life. It's like we have seasons. There are times, you know, there's time to plant the seeds. There's time to harvest the plants, you know, and depending on when you're born, it has a significance of like what you came here to do. Mm-hmm. So that would be considered like your purpose in life would be based on your birth date and your time.
Can I just say, so if this is legit, and I think it is, my intuition says it totally is. Seann is saying that I came into the life as a pioneer, a 10, a bold pioneer, and it lasted me for a while because I had that 0 kicker. And now, and then I went into a period of growth, number 5.
Yeah.
And now I've got a double stacked period of completion, baby.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna use to sail through my next period of growth when I get to that E, which I'm hoping is 1,000 years from now.
Well, yeah, actually, you know, your name is actually got a lot of transformation and a lot of innovation in it, you know, with all those 1s and 5s. You have a lot of, because there's a concept is that 5 is drive, right? 5 is just a rapid growth. It's just like all the barriers, all bets are off. You're just going. So, and the 1 is equally, it's like leading the charge, you know? So that would, just based on the 1s and the 5s in your name, if I never met you, I would say that you're a very strong, motivated, like go for it kind of guy, and that you're going to just power through things, and that you're going to be constantly transforming and testing boundaries based on your name. Yeah.
Seann, you got a lot of 5s in your name. You got a lot of 5s. What are you doing with all these fucking 5s, Seann?
I'm driving.
You got an extra N. We could cut out one of these N's. We need to change your name again.
That's intentional.
Because check it out, dude. Think about it. You got the J, which is a 1, the E, which is a 5, 2 S's, which are both 1s, and then the E, which is a 5. I've got the 1, right, which is the S, and then the 5, E, and then
aren't the
1,
S's 9s?
and then 5 and 5. So we both have 1s and 5s.
Are 9s and 1s the same?
No.
Wait, I thought S's were 9s.
No, S is a 1. So you have all 1s and 5s in your name, and I have all 1s and 5s in my name. So what are the chances?
1s and 5s, god damn it.
And the first letter of your name is a 1, and the first letter of my name is a 1. And then the second letter of your name is a 5, and the second letter of my name is a 5. So we're already like on this similar kind of
5, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now you've got too many 1s. Okay. All right, nice. Looks
Anyway,
good.
this stuff goes.
We'll
It
have to
goes
figure
deep,
this out.
and it's
Yeah,
a,
Sean,
it's a
well,
very fascinating philosophy. It's
Next
something
time
I
we
like
see
to
you,
do.
Sean, we're gonna school you,
Yeah,
man.
we-
We're gonna be
we-
like, so.
We never have enough time with our guests, so we always have to bring them back. So we'll
No,
have to-
Sean.
if you had fun, you're welcome back. Maybe
Thank
we'll
you. This is great, man.
debut your video. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yes.
Do you know when it's coming out? That's the last thing I'd love to say. Before
we were aiming for Friday the 13th, right? Talk about numbers on that one, but no, it's seeming like it's going to be August 20th. That's what we're shooting for right now.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
All right, awesome. Well, August 20th, you'll be able to see me and my friends, as well as Sean in his lovely video debut. But he's got a few killer videos over on the YouTube is Delete Before Death.
Delete After Death.
Delete After Death. I apologize. I'm dyslexic. So Delete After Death. And what's the name of the song, the money song that you did recently?
Free Money.
Free Money. Yeah, check out Free Money. I really love that one.
It's a satirical thing about, what if we just all had unlimited amounts of free money? What would it be worth?
Right.
So anyway, we want to thank everybody who's been watching. Thanks, Sean, so much for coming on to the show. Also, we're going to say that we're at the end of next month, we're going to be having an episode devoted to our listeners. So if you have anything that you want to talk about, stories, anonymously, whatever, write to us one way or another. Drop us a message of what you want shared, and we'll talk about it on air at the end of next month. Who do we have next week, Mr. Michael's in? I forget.
Oh, let me see who is next week. Hold on, I'm looking at the calendar. Next week, Anna Miranda next week. So Anna is
Adam.
Anna Miranda. She's a astrologer. She Akashic Records and Soul Contracts and
wow.
Yeah, some cool stuff there.
Yeah, you guys should cross-verify some of this stuff with her. I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's the thing that's so great, Sean. All of the things we talk about, they're kind of these different philosophies and systems or beliefs, but they all tie into each other, and it's very obvious. It's like we don't even have to explain. Oh, well, that kind of makes sense to this. Well, it all makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. I love how open-minded you guys are, and the community that you're building here is totally. It's important. We need more of this in the world, I think.
Yeah, well, it's just conscious communication. That's what it comes down to. There's a lot of unconscious communication going on. And if a few of us can take the high road, I think that's all it'll take to upset the apple cart. So thank you, Sean, again for coming on. And please go check out Sean's wonderful music. He really is a very, very talented artist. And I'd love for you guys to support him. And join us next week when we'll have Anna Miranda on the show.
Yes.
And be talking about, the Akashic,
she talked.
You said like a few things at once.
A few things at once: astrologer, Akashic Records, soul contracts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Astrology and soul contracts. I'm really excited to talk to her about soul contracts. All right, cool guys. It was great talking to you. Good night,
thank you,
wherever
guys.
you are. Good night, Sean. Thanks so much. Peace.
Peace.